help you, boys?
You got any white bread?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have some toasted white bread, please.
You want butter or jam on that toast, honey?
No, ma'am. Dry. Got any fried chicken?
Best damn chicken in the state.
Bring me 4 fried chickens and a Coke.
You want chicken wings or chicken legs?
4 fried chickens and a Coke.
And some dry white toast, please.
You all want anything to drink with that?
No, ma'am.
A Coke.
Be up in a minute. We got 2 honkies out there dressed like Hasidic diamond merchants.
Say what?
They look like they're from the CIA or something.
What they want to eat?
The tall one wants white bread, toast, dry, with nothing on it.
Elwood.
And the other one wants 4 whole fried chickens and a Coke.
And Jake, Kid, the Blues Brother. Hi, Jake.
Matt!
Hi, Elwood.
What are you doing?
How you doing? How was Joliet?
Oh, it's bad. Thursday night they serve a wicked pepper steak.
Can't be as bad as the cabbage roll at the Terre Haute Faro Pen.
For that oatmeal at the Cook County Slammer.
Oh, they are all pretty bad.
Matt, me and Elwood, we're putting the band back together. We need you and Blue Lou.
Oh, man. Don't talk that way around here. My old lady, she'll kill me.
Ma'am, you got to understand that this is a lot bigger than any domestic problems you might be experiencing.
Matt, what the hell is he talking about?
Don't get riled, sugar.
Don't get riled, sugar me. Now, you're not going back on the road no more, and you ain't playing in them old 2-bit sleazy dives. You're living with me now, and you're not going to go sliding around with your old white hoodlum friends.
But, babes, this is Jake and Elwood, the Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers? Shit.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Left this lies and globalism, pushing them back from the saloon to the airwaves, spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands, but I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpa's come and remember my name. Sherpa's rising. Freedom's calling. Left this judge is twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've walked the line 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air. My voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight, torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't battle the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas, rising and glow. The static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, Rose will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I'm broadcasting from North Idaho in an actual free state. I am, in fact, your conservative Sherpa, guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. So please note and remember what you're about to hear for the next hour, perhaps 2 hours, if I have enough content. Customarily, I don't. I'm left wanting so many times in terms of content, but this stuff happens to be my opinion and my opinion only. There is no guest tonight. It's just me. So, like I said at the beginning, hell, you may as well tune out now. What kind of a guy, for example, would wear a shirt like this? I wore it once before, earlier this year, and I didn't apparently learn my lesson when this thing burns out all the rays and all the retinas from all the other people that are watching, and my camera right here doesn't seem to be having a wonderful time trying to handle it. And also, hey, did you hear? I'm the first to comment. And tonight we have a cosmic bard. I call him Bardley sometimes. And also Mission Ready Man is here. Good evening. Thank you ever so kindly. OP Ordnance Packard is present and accounted for, sir. Yes, sir. And snack recommendations, Doritos. Doritos Ranch. Oh, I like Doritos Ranch. And super thick stuffed Oreo cookies. Now, a long time ago, I'll finish the rest of this thing over here in a second. A long time ago, because I was born a poor black child, and we were poor, and everyone else seemed to be able to have Oreo cookies. Well, you may not even, I don't even know if they make them anymore, but there was a cheap knockoff, which was called, Hydrox. Hydrox. It sounded like a Marvel villain, okay? Or a disease. I had Hydrox once, but unlike leprosy, I got over it. So Lewis is here, one each. SP Lewis, Southern Pacific Lewis is here. Licky Robinson, KLIN, comic artist is here. Now stop. You right there. You heard me. I want to do this and show you in the opener. I show this now. I received permission from comic artist to show that during the beginning of the show. And so that will be included in future versions of the opening of the show, which I think is just fabulous. The Jerk. Yes, that's where it came from. Hydrox. Not Hydra, not Hail Hydra, but Hail Hydrox. Fun fact. Hydrox came first. Oreo is the knockoff. First of the night. I didn't even know. Wait, that was sad. BZ, do you not have a better striking hand than that for OP? Okay, wait, let's see. Okay, that's better. That serves. That's better. By the way, as Sean notices right here, though it is early, we'd like to say, please like and subscribe to the episode and to SHR, the SHR Media YouTube channel. And if you haven't, please liked the channel itself. Thank you so kindly. We now return with life, which is already in progress, at least from here. Let me go back. Do I have more comments? Yes, I believe I do. SB Lewis, LOL. That's badass. Now, let me make sure that I show you the reference to which he makes. That is to say, comic artist. He's referring to this. And that, folks, that is badass. A lot of places I'm going to be going tonight. With luck, you'll be taking the journey with me. I want to do, I have a new segment for everyone. And did I not, if I'm not mistaken, did I not say that I have an actual producer who is starting tonight? He's a little gun shy. He's sitting over there. I asked if he wants a camera placed on him. See, look at this. This shirt is like Caltrans yellow. These are the safety shirts. It's the same color that people wear when they're driving garbage trucks or they're standing in the middle of I-90 as traffic is attempting to pass at 75 miles an hour. And it blows out the camera. This may be my final time that you'll ever see me in this shirt. Go figure. But the other thing is, I wear, I don't know if I've ever said this. I am colorblind. I am quite colorblind. And comic artist says, oh, stop it. I'm blushing. Okay, so let's see if he'll blush some more. This is what he did for me. That's great artwork. And I'd like to point out some things here, if I could, if I have permissione. That's permission in Italian. Note over here, there's his signature on the lower right. There I am in the MAGA hat. In case you didn't know who I was, I am, there's an American flag. I have my label there, BZ. In that case, I am swapping suds. And you'll note, however, please, that just even with my head is a bottle of liqueur called Rot Gut. The other thing that I really enjoy from this is comic artist happened to make my right arm just all kinds of muscly. So I thank you for that. And he includes SHR Media down at underneath the Bobcat. The Bobcat is wearing spiked wristlets. And also, the Bobcat is correct when the Bobcat says, look, best chat room, folks, ever. Now, you got to also admit, that is a badass Bobcat with green eyes, tufted ears, smoking a cigar. That Bobcat has bigger muscles than I do, which really should not be any kind of surprise whatsoever. Some folks may ask, what is it that you do, BZ? I'm doing the job that the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America, one leftist diaper at a time. And I'm here to remind you that we don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks here in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, clarity, context, tradition, and common sense for normal people like you and me. So, and also, what do we happen to discuss here? Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. We're streaming in all the good places in which you could possibly be streaming in a streamingly fashion, semi-streamingly, or I'm not live right now on KLRN, but there shall be, if I'm not mistaken, a replay on KLRN tomorrow night. And Mission Ready Man says, yes, agreed completely. That is some badass artwork. And as Sean, who is the creator, lovingly creator, the loving creator, the great creator of The Edge of Liberty, we'll get to when that is, says, Clyde is ripped, baby, because chat lives matter. Chat lives matter. Good one, OP comic artist. So thanks to everybody for being here in the show tonight. Going a whole bunch of different places. I think I'm going to start here and put this up. Just before I began the show, apparently there was a significant earthquake, and I don't have the exact location, but it was somewhere. Well, I'll just read this. This is from the Weather Channel. A tsunami watch has been issued for the entire west coast of the U.S. after a massive 8.7 magnitude earthquake struck near Russia. Now, where in Russia? I am not knowing. I do not know. But the Weather Channel says, oh, look, you can watch us. But instead of watching the Weather Channel, I have this. And let me see if I can turn this on. Tsunami wave confirmed.
I was reading something online about how the topography of the ocean floor, how the ocean floor is shaped where an earthquake is, can significantly affect.
Yes, that can affect a tsunami, but apparently the tsunami wave confirmed that it's going apparently towards the west coast. Of course, I've seen all the loving leftists saying, gee, can't we divert it over to Mar-a-Lago? And the answer is no. You cannot, you will not. And that is absolutely unacceptable. I want to make another mention, if I could, regarding this gentleman. And I made a semi-oblique reference to Jeff Dunetz. He passed away last Thursday at the age of 67. And Jeff was a very good friend of mine. And I told the story basically that I've known him since 2004. And that is when we both began our blogs, mine at bloviatingzeppelin.net and his at lidblog. I think originally it was lidblog at blogspot.com. And we became very good friends. And then we both acquired shows. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Jeff had his show fairly significantly before mine. I'm not sure of the timeline. Sean in chat can perhaps update me and update everybody about that. But Jeff Dunetz had a show which predated mine. And he was on SHR, left for a while, but he never stopped posting at Lidblog. And if you want to read anything about him, want to read anything about the things that he has written in the past, he has a couple of other people writing for him now also, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if you can see it. This is really kind of small, but up here it says lidblog.com. Lidblog.com. And this is a little bit of Jeff way back when, 5 years ago, September 1st, 2020. Whether or not I succeed all the time, I'm not sure. But Jeff Dunetz, if you haven't heard him before, has his own blog, lidblog.com. And look at it. I still say it the same way. What the hell? He writes, he is a prolific author, frequently I can't say frequently, but sometimes has other people on his blog to pen articles as well. Lidblog.com. Lidblog.com. Very easy to go to. And if you like to go to blogs, but you think, bloggers, they don't impress me very much anymore. If they write something every 3 days, that's kind of, no. Jeff writes. Okay, get to it. So please take it away, Jeff.
This is a deal that only Trump could have done. Okay. And let me explain. About a year and a half ago, the word was, the buzz around the Middle East was Saudi Arabia were telling the Palestinians, you know what, we're tired of this, make peace already. Okay. And because the Arab states made a commitment never to make peace with Israel until they make peace with the Palestinians.
That was Jeff Dunetz. There's way, 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 way too much material for me to continue with this tonight, but I just want to go back and pay a little bit of a tribute, if I could, to Jeff Dunetz, who was 67 years old. Unfortunately, he had a number of medical issues that it's not for me to say what they were. the last messages that I received from him were very strange, and I'll probably tell Sean about them a little bit later. And that was an indicator as to how I could tell that Jeff wasn't doing real well at the time I attempted some communication. And it wasn't panning out all that well. I was surprised, I guess, not surprised, something like that. But I know one thing, and I know that Jeff would not be mad and he would not be upset. As a matter of fact, he would probably appreciate it if I had some humor right after him. Go.
A few years ago, I couldn't breathe, but then I started taking this, Comply. Now I breathe just fine.
Side effects of Comply may include dizziness, obedience, improved breathing during police encounters, and sudden respect for authority. Do not resist while taking Comply. Ask your officer if Comply is right for you.
A few years
So I have to say that I hate medical ads. I wish that RFK Jr. would remove all med ads from TV and radio. But for that one, I'll go out of my way, and I'll embrace that. Also, let's see. Do I have something? Let's just go to here. This is another story that I think Jeff would appreciate. Did you know that there's a serial butt sniffer who was arrested again for sticking his nose in a woman's backside at a Nordstrom rack? A notorious butt-sniffing freak was thrown behind bars again, after he was caught putting his nose near the butt of an unsuspecting woman at a Nordstrom rack in California. Butt, rack, physicality. I don't get it. I really don't. There is something, however, that I do get, and we haven't gotten here in quite some time, so let's do it, shall we?
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
This is from HeyJackass.com, HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values and Chicago, the city of big shoulders. They have kind of let us down in the past, but let's look. July to date, shot and killed 36, shot and wounded 208, total shot 244, total homicides 42. Week in progress, July 27th to August 2nd, shot and killed 1. Come on, Chicago. Shot and wounded 16, total shot 17, total homicides 1. Year to date, shot and killed 202, shot and wounded 885, total shot only 1,087. Come on. Total homicides 245. That translates to this. A person is shot in Chicago every 4 minutes and 37 seconds, and a person is murdered every 20 minutes and 28 seconds.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Now, I said that I had some things to talk to people about and to show you, and that one of them is over here. He's my new producer. He's over in the corner just underneath my TV. If I had a photo of the studio to show you, I would. He does not want to be on the monitor. He's allowing me to show right now a photograph that was taken of him at a previous job. The gentleman's name is Merlin Queffel. And so he is here to improve my production value. And I appreciate his being here. He is going to assist my production value greatly. Also, as an aside, I want to let everybody know that in the not terribly distant future, programming note, I'm going to be interviewing Terrence McCauley again I just received his newest book, The Twilight Town, which is a Dallas 1963 novel. His first was very good. He's a Western and suspense author. He's been here 6 times before. And once I finish his book, he is going to be back. So let's, if we would, continue with, Merlin, can you hit this? There we go. That's what I'm
I
thinking.
believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out.
We're going to do some news, and we'll be illustrating some updates on a few stories, specifically some that myself and Sean Lewis, one in particular, that Sean Lewis and I spoke about yesterday regarding the shooting in New York City. And as it turns out, he and I were knocking noggins, and we were very accurate in terms of our susurrations and susurances regarding this particular story. And that's this. The news.
Stand by for news.
New York gunman appeared to have a grievance against the NFL. Now, both Sean and I said last night on his show, Edge of Liberty, that this screamed of specificity, of targeting, of a very, I mean, this guy, as I indicated last night, had missile lock on his target. The sad thing about this is that he made a series of very serious errors. He drove his car, apparently, from Las Vegas, however long it took him to get there. I think he stopped, his last stop, if I'm not mistaken, was in New Jersey. And then he went into New York City. They said that he was carrying an M4 from Nevada. Now, an M4 is a military version generally made by Colt, a fully automatic, a select fire weapon. Now, whether he had a true military M4 that select fire also included fully automatic, I don't know. These days, I really can't tell, and law enforcement is not necessarily, that's an issue that I will be visiting here in the not too terribly distant future. Law enforcement is not being on the up and up with, sadly, a number of us. The thing was that an officer was killed. I will get to that. That intersects with Zoran Mamdani. I speak his name only because I believe that he's going to be of some kind of significance come November in the city of New York. One officer was killed. I believe 5 people total was killed because that guy right there screwed up. Now, he went and shot an officer at the desk, an off-duty officer, and then went up the elevator banks and took, unfortunately, the wrong bank. As it turns out, they believe that he had, for whatever reason, some kind of a grievance against the NFL. The NFL, that office in that building in New York City, was on the 5th floor. He took the wrong elevator bank. The elevator bank that went up to 5 was not the one that he selected, and instead, apparently, he got off on a couple of floors and then eventually ended up on the 33rd floor, and all the people that were shot were in the wrong place at the wrong time and had nothing to do whatsoever with his grievance. That in itself is a terrible and a sad story. But people, of course, Democrats and leftists, are trying to make that an issue again, once more, of firearms, when it doesn't have anything to do with firearms. This guy apparently was a mental case from some time back. He believed that, I guess he played in high school, not even college ball, and his belief or grief was that he received concussions or some kind of a brain injury, to the extent that when he shot himself, which he did, he shot and killed himself with a .223 or a .556 if it was military, in the chest, so that someone would apparently give a shit and try to examine his brain, which no one, A, really gives a shit about, and B, no one is going to do. Sean says the floor with the NFL was card access only. Okay, and he didn't have the swipe card for the right floor. The other thing that I heard is he did, in fact, take the wrong bank of elevators. Cheetah is here in chat. Thanks to you for being here. Notice also that nobody discussed the knife after the Walmart incident. I wish I had that guy. Thanks for bringing that up. A moron in Walmart was stopped. A bad guy was stopped by a good guy with a gun, of course. No one is going to say anything about that. And again, welcome to Cheetah. Once again, I need to attack my spoons for me being fat. That's true. You know, it's not the individual that's responsible. It is the tools that they use. Here's another story globally. Hamas's biggest aid, and as I indicate at the conclusion of the show, I don't have enough time to go through all of the articles that I have here, but if you go to bloviatingzeppelin.net and or you go to rumble.com, where you can see BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, under show links, you will find all of these articles annotated for you to read at your leisure. And also, Jeremy Hansen, Unleash Jeremy Hansen in the house. Thank you for being here. And Sean says, hello, Jeremy. And Jeremy says, hello, Sean. So welcome to everybody for being here. Hamas's biggest threat is humanitarian aid from the U.S. and Israel. Now, you'll notice, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I have very serious beliefs with regard to Hamas, and very serious beliefs is, I know this shocks you, that I really have any opinions whatsoever. I'm mostly vapid, and I don't really commit much one way or the other to any thoughts or opinions, which is bad on me. That's very, very sad. And by the way, speaking of being absolutely non-committal, here is me. We'll be back right after this. Here is me being non-committal in terms of, hey, let's take a break, shall we? Well, this is the first night. Okay, folks, be kind with Merlin. He's a little sensitive. Kindness will rule all. Merlin, can you hit number 1, please? Thank you.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Okay, this is a training lesson. This is a time for me to make a point. And so, Merlin, if you would please, go back and recue that and turn the volume up. And then let's hit that again. Can you do that, sir? Thank you.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law, The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back. I'm BZ. You're in the Saloon tonight. Some interesting tidbits for you. The shirt, Caltrans yellow, whatever the hell, safety yellow, I guess it's called. I'm apparently blowing out my camera, even though I'm colorblind. I guess thank God I am colorblind. And if you would please subscribe to the SHR Media YouTube channel, we would grandly appreciate it. We're shooting for 600 persons right now. This just in, Merlin is on the payroll. Yes, I must say. Now, Merlin is not a student, or he's not a volunteer. I had to actually pony up bucks for him. And by the way, the school official who mocked Hulk Hogan's account is from my county in Florida. We have some liberal nut jobs in local politics in our speck of Blue Town. And if I'm not mistaken, Cheetah, did she or did she not get fired or suspended from that? I remember hearing something about that. Let's go back to Hamas. And this is a huge bone of contention with regard to Democrats and leftists, but it turns out that there is an unprecedented propaganda campaign going on to convince everybody that without UN food aid, everyone in Gaza is going to starve. If you remember the photo of the child whose back you could see visible ribs, suffered from another illness that had nothing to do with that. The disease of malnutrition is called kwashiorkor. Why the hell that popped into my brainulus right now, I don't really know. But Gaza is not, in fact, starving. What's occurring is that Hamas, as the trucks come in, is looting all of the equipment and the food supplies and reselling it for profit. Mission Ready Men. That chick in Florida did, in fact, apologize for her rude comments, and she is an arsehole. I would agree. I know, Sean. I read it right. So, again, with the American media maggots, be careful what you read and be careful what it is that you believe from them. Here's another story that I'd like to go to, and that's, again, Democrats and leftists. This is the chick who, amongst other things, ran on the platform of I'm going to run Donald Trump out of town. So she's leading a nationwide lawsuit with, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, another roughly 20 states that are suing Trump over SNAP benefit food data. Well, yeah, here we go. Mission Ready Men. Big Tish, baby. She's in town. So she joined California, always spelled it with a K, Rob Bonta, the AG there, and a bunch of other leftist states in suing the Department of Agriculture from getting access to data with regard to SNAP data. And what Trump is attempting to do is to find out, in fact, how many people, that is to say, illegal invaders, are sucking resources from actual Americans. And these people like her and all the others leading the lawsuits are those who are definitely in the category of replacement theory is in fact replacement reality. These people despise actual Americans. Democrats and leftists despise actual Americans, and they love illegal invaders. This is one of a continuing series of suits that most definitely prove that. Speaking of proof, let's go back to the vault and hear this.
It's been only 2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat.
President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question. It is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it.
Stop. Who's the danger in that case? And it's illustration number 79,523.72, not dissimilar to Bolivian time in terms of everything that they say is the reverse. BZ's reversal theory is whatever it is that they say, you can be guaranteed that the, in fact, reverse will be true. When I scour the internet, and I will get to China, and we will get to basically what's going to happen is I have a new segment that I will be previewing tonight along with, okay, he's going to get pissed at me, but I'm going to do this again. This is a prior photograph of my new producer, and his name is Merlin Queffel. He's a very kind gentleman. He asks that I take it down right now because he's kind of embarrassed about that. But Merlin is here to assist with the show. And in the process of that, I still continue, however, myself, one and all, to go to the internet and scour for all sorts of things that other people may not realize and may not know. And here's something that I discovered. There's a new company, and it's called Tirana Biosciences. And the article here indicates that they are emerging from stealth mode. But this flagship, the people say with real estate, it's location, location, location. And what they're doing is they're working on RNA. And if you read people who are referencing this, and I'm sure you perhaps heard something which was complete and utter bullshit, right? That it even came from Bill Gates or anyone of his ilk in terms of the medicine and in terms of the science. But we heard conspiracy theory after another conspiracy theory that Bill Gates is going to make sure that we eat our vegetables completely, whether you like it or not. And so if you were a vax denier or didn't take one, we're now in the process through this. If you do research on Tirana Biosciences, they work on RNA, and they are in the process of attempting to experiment on RNA that they wish to place into food. And so the choice that you may once have had may also be in the process of going by the wayside. This is their website, RNA Technology for Plant Health. What also falls under plant health? Oh, those are the things that you eat, and someone may, in fact, decide that you won't have a choice, because I can guarantee you this is one of the things that they're working on. And no one is going to say it, although eventually they might, because even Democrats and leftists are saying the quiet shit out loud now. So I fully and fervently believe that this is coming. Now, I'm in the process of contacting somebody in the UK. Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, who, he's blind. He's not quite so unpleasant. But he used to speak to somebody regularly from the UK. And I am in the process of contacting, well, actually, if I'm going to be truthful, 2 people from the UK. And I want them to talk about the current state of affairs in the United Kingdom. Because we're reading a lot of things where one might draw a conclusion that the UK is falling apart. Now, I tend to think this. I tend to think that they are absolute capitalists in terms of Muzzy World. But that's my sussing that out. What I want to do, and one has tentatively agreed to appear on the show. It's just working out details like, is it going to be a phone call? Is it going to be video? Something like that. And then I'm speaking to another one. I'm trying to have sort of a plan B available in case the first guy or the second guy don't work out. I have another plan. But this is the Eric Arthur Blair, George Orwell. George Orwell, being his pen name, wrote a book in the 40s called 1984. Prescient beyond belief. And the UK is stuck in the midst of 1984. Hundreds of UK citizens are now being charged for speech crimes under the Online Safety Act. And the Online Safety Act revolves around safety for the government, but it has zero to do with safety for the citizens of the UK. In vindication, do you remember when J.D. Vance, VP Vance, went to Europe and warned of authoritarianism in Britain and Europe? And they went, oh, that's crazy talk. That's just wacky, crazy. You wacky Americans. It turns out it's true. And we'll be getting to that. The other thing that we're in the midst of right now is, here's a little tete-a-tete with Megyn Kelly. Information is beginning to emerge that Obama wasn't just on the periphery of Crossfire Hurricane and of instigating a soft coup against a presidential candidate, a presidential nominee, a president-elect, and a sitting president, but he directed it as well.
Which, of course, proves, just to batter the point, that this was inserted in there for political reasons, as an attempt to undermine Donald Trump's presidency. And what we know from the Tulsi Gabbard dump on Friday that you and I discussed earlier this week is it was done at President Obama's direction. So they included bad information. He rejected the concerns of CIA officers. It goes on to say that the Brennan overruled professionals on the determination that Putin aspired to help Trump, who said there's no direct evidence of this. There's none. 2 officers argued to Brennan, quote, we don't have direct information that Putin wanted to get Trump elected.
But that didn't satisfy the narrative. So they pushed it and they continued.
And therefore, the judgment that Putin was counting on Trump's victory should be removed from this ICA, or the ICA should be changed. Nonetheless, it wasn't. Then the ICA excluded evidence from a Putin confidant that said the Russian president actually didn't care who won. So they included bad information in the report based on that flimsy, unsubstantiated, outdated BS.
Stop right there. I know a little bit about how courts work. I used to work within the federal system a long time ago, back when we had reel-to-reel tape recorders and Title IXs, pen registers, and the like. And the FISA court, you may or may not know, is under John Roberts. And the FISA court, Judge Boasberg, Boasberg, also was involved with the FISA court as well. So I do not yet understand why no one has said something similar to, the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine attaches. And what that means is, if we discover as a court that you introduce evidence that is crap and bullshit, and you don't just do it once, but you do it multiple times, I'll get to that in just a moment, then all the evidence from the point that we discovered it's crap on cannot be introduced as evidence. That is the fruit of the poisonous tree that was discovered. So the bed-pissing dossier, the dirty dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for, has information that was introduced as truth by the FBI, signed off by, at the time, Director James Comey, because trust me, with regard to a president, the FBI director would not in any way whatsoever be out of the information loop with regard to this. So utter bullshit was submitted to the FISA court. Now, when you submit surveillance requests to the FISA court, you have a limited period of time with which to show either progress or evidence or information. And at the end of, in this instance, 90 days, that time lapses. And so they didn't get or acquire all that they believed that they needed. And so they resubmitted under the same information for a continuation of that surveillance, and did that 3 times. 3 at minimum of 3, perhaps 4 90-day periods under which this information, this wrong information, this ginned up information, this bullshit was submitted to a FISA judge on 3, perhaps, I know a minimum of 3 times, 3 instances. And then the reason for that is for you go back into the court, and then the judge should theoretically ask you, are you justify to me the continuation of this surveillance? You've had 90 days. Did you find what you needed? If you have, I'm stopping it. But it was extended. So they had to go back into the FISA court and ask for a continuance, and did so a minimum of 3 times. And then they got the fruit of the poisonous tree. So that's a little bit of a explanation with regard to how they got here. Continue.
They overruled CIA analysts who were telling them this should come out. We don't have support for this. And then they rejected, and then they ignored contradictory evidence that would have. That's
called exculpatory evidence. If you say you're the DA and you have exculpatory evidence or information that you don't turn over to the defense, you can probably be guaranteed that your case is going to be quashed, that it's going to be thrown out by a judge before it even gets into the court. Exculpatory evidence is that evidence which you must share by nature with the defense. Exculpatory evidence, who needs it?
Push them,
says the FBI and the CIA and various other alphabet agencies.
Other way, including this. A Putin confidant, came to them and told a sensitive contact that, 1, Putin told him he did not care who won the election. 2, Putin had had often outlined
the goal of Russia is, if you didn't already know, but smart people do know this and recognize this, the goal of Russia is just to fuck with elections. Does anybody, because the people, Democrats and leftists are saying it's Putin who wanted Trump to win. Semicolon. Do you remember what occurred within roughly the first month of 45's term? 45 sent an arseload of cruise missiles from ships into Syria. Syria is a proxy state of Russia. Russian advisors were killed in that. So if Putin thought that Trump was duly Putin's puppet, it was proven wrong from the very beginning, again, indicating why that's bullshit.
Weaknesses of both major candidates. And 3, Putin had asserted that in either case, quote, Russia was strategically placed to outmaneuver either one. So, I mean, all of this shows they had one mission, Matt, and one mission only. And that aspirational point that he was determined to help Trump and get Trump elected was a political hit job that they then leaked to the media immediately, as you pointed out the other day, that before the homework assignment was even completed. In other words, Obama said, go back and change your report. They had leaked to the media what the conclusion of it would be. They had one goal and one goal only, which was to undermine Trump.
And that was Obama directed. Let me repeat for those of you who just tuned in. That was Obama directed, otherwise known as directed by Obama. Current CIA director Ratliff also came out recently with Maria Bartiromo and had this to say. And I think after this, I'll be taking a break at the top of the hour. Merlin, are you awake over there? We're going to take a break at the top of the hour. Watch the clock, please. First time, folks, please be kind. That's all I'm asking. Please be kind. Maria Ratliff, go.
Referrals to the DOJ.
Well, Maria, so part of what came out last week was about how John Brennan, Clapper, Comey, they all pushed the known fake Steele dossier into intelligence community assessments and as the basis for Crossfire Hurricane and all that. But what hasn't come out yet and what's going to come out is the underlying intelligence that I have spent the last few months making recommendations about final declassification and sent that to the Department of Justice that will come out in the John Durham report classified annex. And what that intelligence shows, Maria, is that part of this was a Hillary Clinton plan, but part of it was an FBI plan to be an accelerant to that fake Steele dossier, to those fake Russia collusion claims by pouring oil on the fire, by amplifying the lie and burying the truth of what Hillary Clinton was up to. And you're right, Maria. John Brennan testified to John Durham in August of 2020. He also testified to the House Oversight Committee in 2022. Hillary Clinton testified before John Durham under oath in 2022. James Comey testified before the Senate committee in September 2020. All of that's within the last 5 years. And much of that testimony is frankly completely inconsistent with what our underlying intelligence that is about to be declassified in the Durham Annex, what that reflects.
Let me stop right here. What that means, everything that you've heard, and if you are silly, stupid, or fattening enough that you're glued 24/7 to MSNBC or CNN or NPR for that matter, the American media maggots are not covering this at all. They're eschewing Gesundheit, anything to do with that, and they're insisting that you move on. Now, when we had massive revelations with regard to USAID, and the Democrats, by the way, because of the diminution of funding through USAID to their causes and concerns, are having the DNC is having monetary issues right now. Because of that, this is just as we said with regard to the president, any president of the United States, that was one of the worst political scandals ever, Biden and his dementia, in the history of the United States. This right here, Crossfire Hurricane, is in fact an overarchingly larger scandal than anything we have ever seen in the history of the United States of America. And that is why everyone wants this to go away. But most people are saying also, and I've been saying something similar to this too. I got 2 more minutes before the top of the hour break. By the way, that is for you, sir, over there. If you would wake up just for a second, we'll be going to the top of the hour break in about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay. Thank you. It's one of the biggest scandals ever in the history of the U.S. And trust me when I tell you, I've been looking a little bit more into this. At first glance, my thought was, this is never going to cut it. This is never going to happen. This will never occur, because past history is the best predictor of current or future behavior. If it didn't happen in the past, the chances are really good that it did/won't happen in the future. It's been historically an accurate predictor. But there are even more variables. There are exclusions to various forms of the statute of limitations, which will be a considerable log to hurdle. Did I just make that up? Where the hell did I get that? That's weird.
And so, Pam Bondi does have a strike force. It is a different Department of Justice, a different FBI, and an opportunity to look at how these people really did conspire to run a hoax, a fraud on the American people and against Donald Trump's presidency. And so coming forward, we understand that they did this, but now we need to understand how they did this.
Let me stop right there. We're going to take a break. I'll be right back. You're in the saloon. I'm BZ. You're not. And Mr. Producer, Merlin, take it away.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. It's the beginning of the second hour, hour 2, V for victory. Victory is at hand. Victory is within ourselves. Thanks for being here in the saloon tonight. Welcome back. Our plush, as I indicated, let me see if I can put this up here on the stage. Oh, Merlin, hello. There you go. Thanks for that. This is our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room. I try to change them up as frequently as I can when I have the dollars and the ability to do that. So please jump into the chat room and subscribe. And also, I want to say thanks to everybody for following me on the BZ Rumble channel. I have 114 followers right now. A few more thousand couldn't hurt. If you would, please go ahead and follow there. Let us continue. We were talking with Maria Bartiromo and CIA Director Ratliff, who was saying this about the terrible crap that happened. Democrats and leftists are wishing that this would go away. I'm beginning to actually think that the clouds are parting, and there may possibly be more to go on with regarding this. It in and of itself is not going to disappear, although they would certainly want it, love it. But is this everything that has been coming out, I said this since 2017. That's 8 years I've been saying consistently. This was a soft coup, and which yielded one overt attempted assassination on live TV and a second attempted assassination. But it was a soft coup against a presidential candidate. I got to make sure that I get this correct in their order. A presidential candidate, a presidential nominee, a president-elect, and a sitting president. President Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, as 45 and also as 47. It was, and continued to be a soft coup.
And I think that's why you see the left losing their minds over this, Maria, saying,
Exactly.
Why are you spending time? This is vindictive. You're going back. This is Donald Trump, seeking retribution. It's not. Donald Trump's election by the American people was a statement, Maria. They said to everyone, we know what you did to Donald Trump, and we reelected him because we know this was all fake. We know it was a hoax. Now we want to understand how you did it so that it can't happen again. And that's what this declassification process that we're undergoing right now, what's going on, why it's so important, and why there can be accountability and preventability to prevent these same people that did it in 2016 with the Steele dossier, with the Hunter Biden laptop in 2020, from doing it again in the future.
There must be consequences. We have said this. These people are no different than dogs and small children. If there aren't consequences, they will continue to do that. And we almost watched an individual be assassinated, slaughtered, brains blown out on live TV, all at the behest of all of this crap that was going on. Cosmic Bard, Jeremy Hansen. Cheetah, if you have to go, great, appreciate it. Jeremy Hansen, thanks for being here. This was Crossfire Hurricane, but there was a lot more to Crossfire Hurricane. And this, I don't have nearly, here's another thing. I thought I was going to be able to skip quick like a bunny through all of this stuff tonight because I have a full 2 hours to glean all of these wonderful, nutritious ideas that I'm throwing out into the ozone. Some of this is going to have to get rolled over to Thursday. I am super afraid. Jesse Waters.
The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
Okay, we know where this goes. We know where it's been. We have said to like-minded people who have been dragged kicking and screaming out of being conspiracy theorists, because most everything that we thought was a conspiracy was in fact reality. And there is so much more to go. But unless there are consequences and people do time in federal prisons, this will mean, sadly, almost nothing. So I am of the opinion, and we're going to go into Epstein here in a bit. I'm looking up here. I had a host of happy stories to tell you guys about. I hope I get to them. Let's go to this. Oh, speaking of Epstein, this story, by the way, Crossfire Hurricane, Obama, CIA, FBI, all of the usual suspects. This will continue. It is not going anywhere. And as I said before on prior shows, sometimes the absence of something is every bit as important as the presence of something. And I completely believe this. As I've said, Democrats and leftists are like Muslim terrorists. And in this case, Iran. If they have something, a nuclear weapon, if they possess something, they're going to use it. So the absence of something is every bit as important as the presence of something. And I believe Trump is 100% right. If there was anything on him in terms of fill in the blank, he's a pedophile, he's a serial rapist, he sets tadpoles on fire, he puts small kittens and kills them in washers and then dries them out and uses them for pillows, he cuts tongues off of kittens for a bath mat. If any of that was true, it would already have been out. It would have been released. So to me, how much credence? No credence. I also bring this to you because I want to remind you, can you possibly envision what could have occurred under 45 had all the rest of this GERP not been in the way, placed there intentionally as obstacles? how many things that he's doing now as 47 could have been accomplished prior as 45 if he didn't have to worry about all this junk that was threatening the deep state and anyone else. It was threatening their spice, and the spice must flow. Any interruption to the spice will not be tolerated, including this black-robed judicial anarchist asshole whose memo was released indicating that he is absolutely as biased as the day is long. This is from the Federalist. Memo reveals DC judges are predisposed against Trump and his administration. Federal Judge James Boasberg advised Chief Justice John Roberts and some 24 other judges that his DC colleagues were concerned that the administration would disregard rulings of federal courts, leading to a constitutional crisis. A buzz phrase right out of the Democrats' playlist, and the leftists' playlist, and the globalists' playlist. According to a memorandum they put pen to paper or printer to paper, obtained exclusively by the Federalist, that Judge Boasberg and his fellow DC District Court judges were discussing how a named defendant in numerous pending lawsuits might respond to an adverse ruling is shocking. Equally outrageous is those judges' clear disregard for the presumption of regularity, a presumption that requires a court to presume public officials properly discharged, I should say, their official duties. This is extremely clear evidence that Trump will never get a fair shake anywhere. Certainly not any leftist urban rat cage, certainly not in DC, certainly not in most federal courts, and certainly not in blue or leftist enclaves and states. And they didn't yet say the quiet part out loud. They just printed it. They just sent it in memos, and that came out. Now, that wasn't brand new. That came out a couple of weeks ago. But I want you to understand how deep and treacherous is this ocean of absolute filth. I don't know what else to call it. And it's not going to stop. The only way to get it to stop is by law or by the people themselves. I have a new segment. Let's go to this one. Are you ready? Okay, let's not go to this because I'm told that he does not have this ready. So go find it. Okay, I'm going to have to come back to this. Let's go to this now. Merlin, I'm looking at you. Here's a story that, just like the other one, you and I knew was correct. And doesn't this remind you of Lahaina? Doesn't this remind you of the Hawaii fire that wiped out Lahaina completely to the ground? Some houses were untouched, a select few. Most were absolutely razed to the ground, completely gone. And the funny thing is that it occurred again. And we knew, the quiet parts are being revealed. And yet, one of the shows I'm going to do in the future is, if you think it's over, though, if you think because the Democrats are silly, stupid, and fattening, if you think they're done, they are not. And we cannot afford to be assumptive, ever. And I believe that Have you found it? Okay, go.
Weapons Grade Stupid, the segment where anyone can play, but leftists are overqualified.
And this story falls under weapons grade stupid because we knew it was true. California bill proposes, but this is back on July 15th, and I have not until this point covered it, but I wanted to make sure that I do cover it so people who may not have heard it before will now be completely aware. California bill proposes turning fire-ravaged lots from the Palisades fire into affordable housing in California. And did I not say that that was part and parcel of the point of it all? So Palisades and Malibu will have low footprint, high rises that the homeless and other genetic mutants will be able to have a grand view of the Pacific Ocean that the others who owned that property themselves will not be able to see ever again because they probably can't get insurance, and the County of Los Angeles is not going ass over tea kettle to make sure that they're issuing building permits, and that is purposeful. There is a new law moving through the California legislature, one that would allow property taxes to let LA County buy fire-destroyed lots for low-income housing. First, they're going to drive your asses out due to your inability to get insurance or to acquire a building permit from those of you who lost your homes. The Center Square reports Governor Newsom has allocated $101 million in taxpayer funds for, what did I say? Multifamily low-income housing development in communities in Los Angeles devastated by the Palisades, Eaton, and Hughes wildfires. Because who doesn't need a great view of the Pacific Ocean? Though the other people who have labored long and hard for their properties, and other persons who have no business whatsoever being anywhere near those properties, because if you can't have aspirations to better things, then why fill in the blank? I think you can see BZ's logical conclusion over this. And here's another story. I spoke about this before, but this is clear indication. This is weapons grade stupid. Emmanuel Macron allied with the Islamists. And I can tell you exactly why. The recognition of this fictional nation, France, not the fictional nation, France decided they were going to become the first Western nation to recognize a Palestinian state. The Palestinian state itself is a fiction. But Macron has decided that he's going to go with that. And I can tell you precisely why. It has to do with demography. When you get to the point where you have more Muzzy terrorists and Islamists in your country, courtesy of Angela Merkel and Syria and the flood because of guilty Krauts, then you've lost your nation. The UK is in the process of being lost, if it isn't lost already. And Macron is nothing but another individual, a surrender monkey who has decided that he is going to surrender to Muzzies because now they are everywhere in France. And they have burgeoning numbers. And so he's going to have to play to them if he wants to keep any seat whatsoever in the future. It's a matter, as I've said again, BZ's axioms, demography is prophecy. Let's show this because I'm leading somewhere for weapons grade stupidity, which will culminate in terms of law enforcement. Let's play this. Now, what was this? This was a music or jazz festival somewhere in Cincinnati, Ohio. And let's watch this for a little bit. After a while, it gets tedious, and I will have made my point. If you will, notice the paint jobs on the assaulters and notice the paint job on the individual that's down on the ground. And then imagine this. Imagine that video being reversed. That is to say, the people that are being assaulted are black and the people doing the assaulting happen to be white. Oh, just reversed paint jobs, if you will. Well, it continues. I'm sure you get the gist of it. And then there was a female in there, and you can see the video most anywhere. Well, let's continue. And this is, I guess you could call it my depiction of current day law enforcement, despite the fact that I was in law enforcement for 41, almost 42 years. Let's add this to the stage. And do you mind if I read my comments to this? Because this is a video, about 2 minutes video, of a law enforcement administrator, the chief of Cincinnati, by the name of Terry Theach. Don't really give a shit if I pronounced her name properly or not. But what I wrote in response to this is, do leftist piece of shit law enforcement administrators know no low to which they will not dive? Showing the truth about what happened on her watch in her jurisdiction is somehow bad. Showing that video that you saw part of was somehow bad. And very, very sadly, altogether too much of law enforcement is infected with these no-load leftist pieces of crap all through our nation and besmirching the good name of law enforcement. These days becoming a career and not a profession, courtesy of asshole bints like this. Go.
Another topic I want to cover real quick. Social media and journalism and the role it plays in this incident. And yes, guys, that's you. That is you. Social media, the post that we've seen, does not depict the entire incident. That is one version of what occurred. At times, social media...
Stop. Show me the others then. Show me the others. You show me where whites in any video that came out of that incident or series of incidents beat the shit out of blacks. And that it wasn't a hate crime. Go.
And mainstream media and their commentaries are a misrepresentation of the circumstances surrounding any given event.
Okay, let me stop right there because she's not worth granting any further credence to. Do you understand what she's doing here? Because this is propaganda. This is what you expect out of Democrats and leftists. This is not what you expect out of law enforcement, nor what you expect out of law enforcement officers. Let me go back to the comments and back up it just a bit. Jeremy Hansen says, I think people forget about Seth Rich and the other dozens who were like him. And in terms of reference to Macron, he's surrendering to the UN and the globalists, which essentially are one and the same. But this particular despicable individual isn't blaming her jurisdiction, isn't blaming the suspects. She's blaming media and the American media maggots for what occurred. Did they create those circumstances? No. Did they cover those circumstances? Yes. They didn't cover them to the satisfaction of this police chief. Now, I'm going to continue on with regard to law enforcement. Jeremy Hansen, by the way, Mike, welcome. Good to see you in chat. Unleashed Jeremy Hansen says, why are the most peaceful and the least crime-affected areas placed with the least, I think he means melanated, as in melanin, body, the melanin count. People congregated together. I've been doing the research, and it's clear. Comic artist weighs in and says, I never did agree with the high ground bullshit. I say stand how you can, and push back. But this is one in a continuing series of individuals who are blaming everything except the attitudes of their own departments in trying to sweep crap like this under the rug. I have about, I got about 1 more minute before the show. You know what? I'm not going to start this particular topic. I'm going to go to a break. Merlin will be assisting me with this. And when I come back, I'm going to continue with more information about law enforcement who are collectively very, very, very disappointing to me these days. The profession is going and the career is there, and people are hopping from one job to another. Will the profession of law enforcement survive any of this? I'm not absolutely sure. I'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
Are you looking for bold and honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture, struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And it's the final half hour. I am BZ. You were in the saloon. Folks, last call for alcohol. I have mine. Do you have yours? I think someday I would like to see... You can't see the... Well, yeah, you can see the inside of this. This is a really nice mug. It's red on the inside, kind of like my heart, my little clotted heart. And this is my KC-135 Kettle One refueling team mug. And someday, if I ever have swag, I'd like to sell some of those. I don't know if you guys would buy them. Maybe yes, maybe no. But anyway, I'm not kidding when I say this.
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up. Last call for alcohol.
Not kidding. Not in the slightest. Well, I was talking before the break about law enforcement and how disappointing it is. I spent basically a minimum of twice the amount of time that most officers spend in service to the various organizations and agencies. And there are some commonalities and things that adults should know or have learned by the time they get to law enforcement and or they attempt to represent a department or an agency in law enforcement. And I'm going to start with this because I was fairly disappointed, but I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you what my response was. You may not be able to see this because depending on, if your stream is nice and tight and sharp, I have no idea what your streaming capabilities are. So I'm going to read this. But it's up here to my right over there. And this is from Dan Bongino. And this was July 27th. Not that long ago, just 2 days ago. And Dan Bongino wrote on his, not at Dan Bongino on X, but no, this was written on his official FBI Deputy Director Bongino X account. Massive difference between the two, and I want to emphasize that. And so Dan Bongino said, basically, let me go here. This is the original from Dan Bongino, which you may be able to read. That was my response. I'll go into my response. He wrote on the 26th, I'm sorry, one day off on the 26th, 3 days ago. During my tenure here as the Deputy Director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The Director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. By the way, you may or may not know that the FBI is one of the 17 intelligence agencies. It's not just a law enforcement division. It's part of the 17 plus intelligence agencies in the intelligence mechanism. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicted or predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. Okay. Did your little spidey senses begin to tingle after I read that? They should. We're going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We're going to get the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. Not Deputy Director Dan Bongino, but just Dan. And so I felt it incumbent upon me to respond. And this is essentially this is specifically what I said. Dearest Deputy Director Dan Bongino, regarding one of your latest posts on X in your official capacity, might I be so bold as to make a recommendation meant only in the kindest way possible? And that is this: please take a nice steaming mug of shut the fuck up. Because with that post below and the one I just read, you're essentially saying to the nation in a 9-year-old elementary school style that I know something you don't, and yeah. I can know the cool shit, but you proles and serfs and groundlings can't. And so what you're also doing is playing in directly into the hands of Democrats and leftists and anybody with a conspiracy theory from rational to nutbird. This is what A.G. Bondi did and what countless other law enforcement agencies have done, as well as various administrators whom I despise. See my previous story, by the way, that I just regaled to you. And what I said is, don't piss gas onto the already burgeoning flames. For years on your show, Dan Bongino, you insisted that cutesy time is over. Yet you're playing cutesy with U.S. citizens because now the level of expectations are at their highest. We demand rolling heads, blood, tissue, prosecutions, prison terms, and the like. You helped fuel that. How about you stay silent, do your job, manage expectations, and only talk about what you're going to investigate and what you're going to recommend for prosecution? Like anybody in this term, sadly, you've been lumped, properly so, into the category of that other female, which is completely unnecessary. So what I said is, be Scotty. Under promise and over deliver. Until then, go brew your first mug. So this is, for me, this is very, very disappointing. Extremely disappointing. And this is too. Let me see if I can put this up and find it. I keep things that I find on the internet. And here is Zoran, muzzy, racist, liar, communist, where he said on X in response to somebody, no, we want to defund the police. Okay, so with that in mind, let's add this to the stage, because this is despicable also. Now, the photo that you see right there to my, well, over in this direction, over here on the right of the stage, this is the police officer that was killed at the desk first. And he had an off-duty job wearing his uniform in that building at, I believe it was 345 Park Avenue, where the shooter went and shot and killed that officer and 4 others before he shot and killed himself. A nut job. And so I'll mention this name because this guy took a bullet for the team. Police officer, Didarul Islam. Note that name because I'm going to make a differentiation here. Remember, this is the guy who despises police. We want to defund the police. And yet, here he is, Zoran Mamdani, officer Didarul Islam was one of 4 people killed in yesterday's horrific shooting. A Bangladeshi immigrant who joined the NYPD 4 years ago. He lived in Parkchester with his pregnant wife, their 2 young children, and his elderly parents. When he joined the police department, his mother asked him why he would pursue such a dangerous job. He told her it was to leave behind a legacy that his family could be proud of. He has done that and more. I pray for him, his family, and honor the legacy of service and sacrifice he leaves behind. Doesn't that not sound wonderful to you? Now, let me tell you the true intent behind that. This makes no difference to me, but it in fact makes every bit of difference to this fuckstick, who is Muzzy, as is this gentleman, the officer who was killed. India is not Muslim. Pakistan is Muslim. So Mamdani, a Muzzy himself, will come out and embrace a Muslim officer killed, whereas before he didn't give one ragged fuck about any of the other officers in any other incident and made no mention whatsoever until now. I'm not denigrating the memory of this officer who gave his life for the department. That's not the point. The point is this Muzzy can only find it within himself, Mamdani, to embrace and say anything good about a fellow Muslim. He has had no positive things to say about the NYPD at all, and only now comes out for this gentleman. Again, this is, there are times when on this show I'm left with an inability. I used to be a wordsmith, but now that things are disappearing, floating away, float. I'm left with an improper grasp of words. Mike Pasquin in chat said, disingenuous. Oh, Mike. Oh, you are being so kind. You are being so incredibly kind. I don't have the words to say about this, but I will say and emphasize again, we really are to the point, and this may come to fruition. I've said for some time, you know what? Leftists, Democrats, globalists, pick a city in the United States. I said, I submit Chicago or Seattle or Portland. Well, in this case, New York City. And I think New York City is going to be first. And I say, pick a city, defund the police, make living there absolute hell, and hold to your philosophies, to your leftist philosophies, and let's see if your philosophies and your policies will hold, and only make the city richer and better, as well as its citizens. So if Mamdani, at this point, it appears that he's got a fairly significant hook to becoming mayor of New York City in November. And frankly, I'm at this point, I hope he does, because my emphasis right now is let's have that experiment. Let's have that experiment. Let's have it now. I honestly think we're probably going to end up having that experiment in November. But I think we need to go there. Sooner or later, we simply are going to have to go there. And I don't think there's really any kind of an alternative. I'm going to wrap this up about what I talked about at the very beginning. China is our enemy. And China is absolutely our enemy. And I have about 4, Mike says they're headed towards another Giuliani. I'm not sure I know exactly what you mean by that, Mike. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Giuliani was certainly not Mamdani by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. Let me put this up here. China's our enemy. I don't know how many times I need to say it. I don't know how many times I need to yell it. I don't know how many times it needs to be said, but apparently it does need to be said and repeated again and again and again and again. Who the hell would do something like this? This is from Breitbart. Microsoft's Chinese engineers access Pentagon systems with minimal oversight from digital escorts. Okay, folks, now you do know that anyone and everyone from communist China, from the mainland, is working for and is a proxy of and a representative as a spy of China at all times. Students that are here from China are here to spy on the United States. They are here to insinuate themselves into tech companies and steal as much hardware, software, and information as humanly possible. That is their only reason for existence. Knowing that, and you'd have to be a blithering idiot if for whatever reason you were not cognizant of that, but sadly, I diverge from that. I say it, but you have to be an idiot if you don't think that China isn't working just for China, because it is. So Microsoft is using engineers in China to help maintain the defense, the US DOD. Our computer systems are being accessed by communist China. Now, I don't know, maybe Microsoft has a contract with China. And you know the Chinese and the Iranians, they honor every word of every contract, because they're looking out for our welfare. Iran is, China is. They certainly are concomitant with our philosophies. We're both on the same track in terms of philosophies, don't you think? So Microsoft, Bill Gates, I don't know who runs Microsoft now. It's not Gates, but I bet he has a tete-a-tete or two with the people currently running Microsoft. They're using engineers in China to help maintain the DoD's computer systems with minimal supervision by U.S. personnel, leaving some of the nation's most sensitive data vulnerable to hacking from its leading cyber adversary, a ProPublica investigation has found. You tell me, if you can, what minuscule portion of this makes any sense whatsoever. The only conclusion I can draw is the people that are in charge of Microsoft and the Department of Defense are sufficiently stupid and ignorant that they don't believe that China is our enemy, though they have proven it themselves year after year after year. Ask Lily Tang Williams about her engagement with communist China under Mao and what she thinks of the lovely communist China, the CCP, today. How is it that such idiotic people are turning everything that we have and own that is valuable or tech over to the Chinese? Here's another story. Let's put this on the stage. Chinese companies allegedly smuggled in $1 billion worth of NVIDIA AI chips in the last 3 months, despite increasing export controls. Some companies are already flaunting future B300 availability. This was published only on July 24th, just a couple of days ago. Despite the U.S. desperately trying to block access to advanced AI chips from NVIDIA and AMD, they really are good chips, and they're the future of AI, at least at this point, until something surpasses them. Many Chinese companies still find a way to get them into their hands. According to a report from Financial Times, at least $1 billion worth of NVIDIA B200s, that's the chip that you see above, which is a layered chip, and other banned chips have been shipped to China ever since Trump banned the export of China-specific H2O GPUs and the similarly performant AMD M1308. So this is already getting into Chinese hands. And how is that accomplished? How is it that someone is saying, make it so, number one? It's because of the spies within all the tech companies who are stealing us blind, who are stealing tech from us, who are stealing the words, the thoughts, the ideas, the creativity, the hardware, the software of everything that we have here in the United States, only to their benefit. And this again, you know, what is the guy's name? Wang, Huang, who is the CEO? Jensen Huang. I think that's the guy's name, from NVIDIA. Let's put this up on the stage. NVIDIA says it will restart sales of a key AI chip to China in a reversal of U.S. restrictions. Now, I happen to catch, I don't have the video here because I'm going to have to wrap up the show in about another 5 minutes or so. But I watched Jensen Huang speak on someone else's show and says, well, if we don't get ahead of this in the United States of America and start selling all these AI chips to everybody else, we're going to be left behind. Jensen Huang, how do you think that you're going to be left behind? You're going to be left behind. Shut up. You're going to be left behind when China copies all of that, copies your chip essentially for free, adds their own technology, and then ends up selling it to the rest of the world for less than what you're charging because you gave them and you provided them essentially all the blueprints necessary to out-tech the United States of America. You know, unless they are truly spies, what are these people thinking? And I have just enough time to play this. This is about 1 minute and 3 seconds. And listen to this. It's from Tucker Carlson and another gentleman. Tucker is not my necessarily favorite person, but you have to process every bit of media that comes out. But I bet you haven't heard this about China. Stop. There we go. Thanks, Merlin. Go.
About the Chinese mafia is exploiting rural America to create a drug empire. This is not available on cable news. The network's not telling you about this, but it's totally real. Communist-affiliated drug gangs destroying parts of the United States, the parts that Washington ignores, to sell drugs, laundering money, and building a black market network inside this country's most beautiful but least served areas. We've got a brand new documentary on this. It's called High Crimes, the Chinese Mafia Takeover of Rural America. It's available now on tuckercarlson.com. It's excellent.
Let me stop right there and then back up. They were talking about Maine. Let me stop.
Well, here's a story you probably haven't heard a lot about. The Chinese Mafia.
I'm going to tell you a story, and it's going to sound crazy.
Is what I want you to see.
But the longer I talk, the more it's going to make sense. The Chinese Mafia have taken over rural Maine. We call that triad weed.
Is it a commercial marijuana grow or just a recreational?
Just regular.
Yeah, are you guys just doing upgrades or are you turning the power off for this place?
This location played host to one of the biggest human trafficking operations that we've encountered. He came here quite recently from the People's Republic of China, where he was formerly employed as an organ harvester for the CCP. These gangsters aren't here to go hunt moose. They're here to exploit the people of Maine to enrich themselves through criminal schemes.
And that's true. China, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, China is our enemy. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as I have said, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct tonight through any number of hosts, podcasts, locales. It was live tonight. I think it's going to be restreamed tomorrow night on KLRN and tons of other bulbous podcast locales. And as I am currently also want to say, promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, also by Arrakis, the people that make my mixer, and also Pratt & Whitney engines providing thrust you can trust. And also, as customary, tiaras are by My Little Pony. Hey, look, it's my logo on a hat. So, no guests tonight, thanks to me for being here, and also thanks to my KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be concerting in less than 30 seconds, 30 minutes, less than that. There's my upgrade. And so, thanks for watching tonight. Thanks to all the people in chat. Everybody, God bless, take care, be safe. See you Thursday.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Dad. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.